Heather,
here.
good to see you. David, welcome, sir. Good to see you, David. There's Laura. Carol Ann, looking awesome as always. Candy, Steve, Gail, and Lucy's here as well. Esther, I had some kind words that were said about you yesterday. People are enjoying your tips and everything. Ray, good to see you, brother. We are going to go ahead and get this show on the road right now. So let's go ahead and mute all. Again, welcome, especially to our brand new members, of which you are many. We've got, I just got to meet, how many people I just meet? I met Ashley and Lee and Michael, Conrad, Mohammed, Danny, Jason, welcome to all of you. I think almost everyone's from the UK this morning. Martin, of course, Sarah, and Thomas. Welcome to our brand newest of all new members. We are glad you're here. I also want to acknowledge everyone for your meeting before the meeting that seems to be always happening. I tuned in here 10 minutes early and there was already over 100 people in the room, guys helping guide each other in through some of these logistics that could seem a bit daunting if you're new to this whole thing. I'm going to give you all a tip about it, which I think will help. And it's something that that was actually kind of revealed by someone who was just talking just before we went live. Was it? I'm sorry, guys. We got so many people here now. I'm trying to figure out who said what. But somebody was just saying that they went through the Amazon seller's account setup process and it was no big deal. Who was it that was saying that? I was very, very pleased to hear that, because when I look at
Amy.
It was Amy that said that.
There's Amy.
And I had the same experience. So.
And Heather had the same experience, right? So really what it comes down to, and you'll see why I'm talking about this on this broadcast, really what it comes down to a lot of times is just reading the instructions, making sure you understand every word, right? Specifically and explicitly what they're saying. Don't assume any, maybe they mean this. No. So do it once, do it right, and it'll be done. And then once it's done, it's done. And there was also a conversation about entities and such. Obviously, Blue Sky has no position on giving advice on what kind of entity and taxation and blah, blah, blah. You've got an accountant, hopefully, right? Talk to them. If you don't have an accountant, you're here in the United States, you'll be getting a call from Prime Corporate Services, and they, for a fee, a significant fee, they will do your paperwork and get you set up and all that, okay? Or you could just go type on the Google machine, like, how do I set up an entity, right? And you'll see all the things in your jurisdiction to be able to do that.
Yeah, Nadia pointed that out the other day. It really is state driven in the US, just like it's provincially driven here in Canada. Setting up a business in Ontario is very different than setting one up in Alberta or even in Newfoundland. So, start at your provincial level and then kind of go up the next tier. And you can do it that way. And everything can be done online, which is great for the most part.
Right. That's very good.
I
had
to get something mailed to me, but that was it. And it took a week.
Very good. So yeah, it's not like we're standing in line at the, the government registration office and, like it's DMV or something. DMV here in the States means Division of Motor Vehicles, Department of Transportation, right? So one of the least fun experiences you will ever have. But we have systems in place. In fact, I wanted to let you all know that I was in communication with the Australian Home Office yesterday because Adrian, I don't know if you're on here live right now, but Adrian's one of our advanced students who is here with us. And he was like, you know what? Maybe a bit of compartmentalization of like logistics versus like, John, that's not your bag, right? You're not like the logistics guy. You're kind of into like the whole mindset and philosophy thing, which is friggin' awesome. Let's keep trucking on that. But like all the questions about, where do I click the button? Right. So that gets a little bit mind numbing in these forums. So we're going to be receiving in the Blue Sky Academy and your navigator and all that definitive. They're working on right now creating or recreating definitive guides to guide you on those logistical things, the click the button kind of things, and the different choices there are when it comes to setting up Amazon accounts and stuff like that. For our members who are completely brand new here,
John, sorry to
Just-
interrupt. Before our meeting this morning, there was a number of us that were, I know Esther's setting up something for people to drop into your room on Tuesday evenings. The Canadians have got a little group going, and those are the logistical things that we're talking about, so that we don't weigh down this group with those, because it's different from state to state or province to province. So it's nice to have those smaller adjunct groups. We only want to listen to you when we come to this group, but because we're all together, we tend to talk about those logistical stuff. So it's nice to sort of take that part to a different group and, work through it with like people who are in the same position, and leave you just to do your stuff.
Right. Thank you. Okay, excellent. Well done. A question for you, Heather, since you've just interjected, I'm going to ask you a question. Is that the hood of a truck or something behind you? There's a big green thing? Or is that your attempt at green screen? What is that?
That's my attempt at green screen. And
Okay.
if I was more energetic today, I would have put it behind me and put a lovely beach scene up, as if I'm on the beach in my hammock. But
Very good.
I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning. I belong to a BNI group, and we meet early on Thursday mornings, usually for breakfast, but now we have Zoom meetings, and I just didn't get it up. Sorry.
Okay,
That is a green
very
screen.
good.
Yes.
Very good. I thought for a minute, just I guess because of my mechanical background, that looks like the hood of a pickup truck or something behind her, like a really, really green truck. Okay, so yes, so on to what we do on these sessions. What was I saying about new members? New members, right? So I just met with about 10 of our newest members. Okay, and if you're here, if you're still going through or haven't even gotten to the Jetstream videos and all the stuff that Sophie's prepared for you outside of the Blue Sky core program itself, then you're considered a brand new member. Okay. Once you're through all that, we've done a business launch strategy session, then you're a seasoned veteran and you should be launching your business and doing business, right? Now, up until that point though, just sort of sticking with the idea of compartmentalization, while at the same time maintaining forward movement, I want you to think of sort of running down two different tracks at the same time. And I've had this conversation as recently as 15 minutes ago with several people. One track is the how to nuts and bolts. What do we do? How do we do it? That's one track that we can run down, and you must, right? That's how to do the work, right? That's good. The other track that we're running down is who's doing it and why are you doing it? I would argue, from my position, with my perspective, I would argue that is the most important track to run down. I've heard it said that when the why is in place, the how to virtually takes care of itself. And we've all seen, or we've at least heard of, the concept of paralysis through overanalysis, right? Any perfectionists here? Right. Okay, got it. Right here. So I can get stopped, or I can allow myself to stop myself because it's my energy doing all this, right? So I could get engrossed in the minutia of the instruction, the clicking of the buttons, the learning of the technology and all that kind of stuff. I will also continue to be stopped if I don't have a good enough reason why I should continue to move forward. One of the things that Napoleon Hill talked about in his legendary book, Think and Grow Rich, were the factors that cause persistence, right? That which creates persistence. You know what? I could probably grab it and recite it to you right now, but I did this a few weeks ago. Maybe we'll talk about this tomorrow. It'll be a fun topic for Fun Friday once we're done with jokes and the dog show. But for our new members who don't know what I'm talking about, that's tomorrow. You'll see. But the idea here that I've got to have a reason worthy of me showing up and getting uncomfortable and learning some stuff, right? That's true no matter what business logistics we're talking about. Okay, so you click the button, or you learned how to do the plumbing thing, or you learned how to do the surgery, right? That's all the technicals. That's the technicals. But fundamental and underneath, foundational to all of that is who's doing it. And quite often, I'm speaking for myself, and I'm not here to lay my autobiography on you. You may say, John, I don't relate to that at all. Or you may say, John, you're telling my story right now, or somewhere in between. Okay, but what I find for myself is that I sometimes have been in situations where I am reticent, resistant, hesitating Um, dare I reach lest I make a mistake? Oh my goodness, right? Because now the stakes are high, or at least in my mind, they are. Now, a lot of you know, most of my experience has been in, much more high stakes kind of stuff than this, right? So here you got Amazon, you can get a couple products going, few $1,000s, whatever. There's people right now dropping $500,000 on franchises. By the way, why do they do that? Why would somebody spend a 500,000 or 200,000 or $1 million plus on a franchise? Why would they do that? Predictability, systemization. Here's the cookie cutter plan. Don't make me think. I'll pay you to think, oh, this apparently is already working. It's got proof of concept in the marketplace. So now let me move forward. It's going to cost me a boatload of money. And I'm going to be in debt for 5 years, but there's already some proof of concept in the marketplace, right? In my assessment, that's why people would buy that deal. I think we got a better deal here, personally. I think we got a better deal. You apparently do too. Otherwise, you'd be pursuing your franchise right now. So, okay, so it's called e-commerce, much lower risk, much more accessible to people without, mortgaging your house and everything else. Okay, so that's good. And you've got a bit more flexibility and freedom. Sure, there's still guidelines, there's still rules of doing business on Amazon. Well, that's fine. I mean, we could say that every game has rules in place. Got to have rules in place. Okay. Otherwise, there's really no game. There's no barriers. So we play within the rules. But here's the thing. Sometimes I think, well, you know what? I dare not make a mistake. Well, here's what I could tell you, because I was recently reviewing some really good like self-image psychology stuff, which you guys know I've been into for some decades now. And this was out of the book Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, which some of you have read. But in that book, I got a reminder about torpedoes. What does that have to do with doing business? So a torpedo, or any sort of a guided missile that has some sort of a servo mechanism on it, some sort of a guidance system on it that can make corrections while en route to a predetermined goal. You see, these machines that man has made, these machines only work when they're getting negative feedback of how off course they are. Think of a plane. So there's a plane leaving the runway from Los Angeles to New York, right? And so the plane is going through the air, and there's something called an autopilot. An autopilot, that would be a cybernetic mechanism, a servo mechanism, which has the ability to measure any deviation from the predetermined goal and to make corrections, which will then put the plane back on course. So let's say here comes some turbulence. Here's turbulence, knocks the plane off the course. This happens all the time, okay? The mechanism, the autopilot, detects the deviation from the set course, adjusts the flaps, the hydraulics, the engines, the whatever, right? I don't know how the machine works, but I know it does work, okay? And so now that plane gets back on course. It can only do that if it's moving. Stopped planes don't run autopilots. You get it? That's the trick. And here's the rest of the story, is that your autopilot, the machine, the servo mechanism, the cybernetic, functionality that happens right here is way more powerful than any computer, any plane, any torpedo. You are so powerful. But all your answers come from your action. There was the old Quaker saying, as you pray, move your feet. Or God can't steer a parked car. Okay. So fill in the blank with whatever metaphor you like. The point is that we get feedback from being off course. Some people have said, you fail your way to success. Well, if we're scared to reach, right? If we're somehow waiting for the absolute perfect, product, which good luck, right? My crystal ball's on back order. So is Sophie's, by the way. I don't know what's the perfect product. I mean, she's listed over 1,000 of them, made money on a lot of them, lost money on a few of them, made millions nonetheless. Okay, fine. Can't win them all. Can't lose them all either. Okay. But the point is, we can correct and we could scale up what we're actually doing, not what we're thinking of doing. I think it was Henry Ford who said, tell the world what you're going to do, but show them first. I think it was Ford. It was either Ford or Hill. Yeah, one of them. And you think about that as it relates to this whole concept of inertia. inertia. This is bad stuff. Okay. When we think of what is inertia, it's an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and thereby an object in motion tends to remain in motion. Okay. And there's other forces working on it, like friction and gravity, and et cetera, et cetera. But just in terms of like physics, inertia, when I think of the word inertia, I'm thinking of that rock isn't going to just jump up by itself and move. It is inert. It is stopped. Okay. Are you? Are you stopped? Because you got so much power in here that you could put to use. Does that mean you're never going to make a mistake? Or does that mean that conditions will ever be perfect, that you can now go through life unscathed? Oh my goodness. I think it was James Allen from the classic book, As a Man Thinketh. He said, your conditions may be uncongenial, but they will not long remain so if you but perceive an ideal and take steps immediately to its fulfillment. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here. I should probably get the exact words. But do you get that? Conditions will never be perfect. Your product will never be perfect. The marketplace will never be perfect. Oh my goodness, now we've got viral pandemics. Oh my goodness, now we've got whatever the next issue is. And there's always going to be an issue. We succeed despite circumstances. In fact, we succeed even bigger in some ways because of circumstances. Oh, how fortuitous, right? Because every crisis brings with it the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. That's right out of Think and Grow Rich, right? And again, if you haven't read that book, don't jump into it right now, but definitely put it on your reading list. It's one that you definitely want to study. Okay. So all right, here's the seed of an opportunity. It's called ugly stuff. It's called crisis. It's called problem. Okay. Again, think about the game. Every game's got to have barriers, got to have problems. Otherwise, no game. If we were just drifting through life with no problems, how boring. No game. No game. So yeah, we're going to overcome barriers, right? We're going to solve problems. When? Well, when would now be a good time to get started? Like how I threw the little word in now in there. When would now be a good time to get started? So think about that. Think about that for yourself. What can you do? And I know we've had this conversation before, but what can you do to move incrementally closer to the realization of your worthy ideal? That's called success, by the way, the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. What progress can you make today? And if you're brand new here, you're 15 minutes in our community, there's something you can do today. Go through the first couple of units in module 4. Get in touch with your accountability rep. Show up here, which you just did. Well done. Well done. You're doing it. You're doing it. Actually, showing up here has a few other additional benefits, which are not quite as decipherable or tangible at first. But for those of you who've been hanging out with us for a while, you know, you're not just around this, you're in this. You're the future of this. What is this? This is the e-commerce, the people who are going to make a spectacle of themselves. Yes, make a spectacle of yourself. I mean, somebody's got to. Somebody's got to make all this money. There's billions of dollars a day changing hands on the internet. Some of that's got to go to you, I think, and so do you. Okay, great. We agree. Well, let's get it done, right? Just like the torpedo, right? There's no corrections being made at stop. There's corrections being made when moving off course. Almost always off course. Little corrections. Think about when you first started driving the car, where you're making these huge corrections with your steering wheel, zigging and zagging all over the place. And now it's almost effortless, right? You don't even have to touch the wheel sometimes. I can do it with my knee. I can do it with my breath. I can do it with my mental powers. Just think about that. Think about that gradient. You get up the gradient, you become more competent by doing consistently those things which you know could move you in the direction of your goals. That's what I wanted to share with you today, because we've had plenty of conversation about the theory behind what we do, and obviously we've got plenty to learn. There's lots to know about this. If everybody would be successful, it would be mediocrity. We would call it mediocrity. It would be average, right? Which by definition is unremarkable. That's not why we're here, right? So, okay, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to apply this theory, and we're going to apply it incrementally to greater and greater degrees, and we're going to make corrections knowing that there's no such thing as perfect. Imperfect and done beats perfect and not done. Now, back even started this whole conversation when it comes to tedious little things like uploading your passport into Amazon, right? Make sure you read the instructions, word for word, and you did exactly what they asked, and that's it. You're done. Okay, great. The bigger question is who's doing it, and that's something I keep coming back to. I've seen people, and I'm going to stop talking here in just a second. I've seen people with great intent on the front end, not just talking here in Blue Sky and Amazon and stuff, but with thousands of students I've worked with in the online marketing space throughout the decades. Great intent, who were stopped by themselves because they were still looking for some more perfect or congenial circumstance, or their own self-image was that of the person who dares not make a mistake. Okay, so little calculated risks, moving incrementally towards your goals, and then you can make those corrections. I mean, how did Sophie get there? She did it by listing over 140 products or so her first year. So let's raise our standards. Let's get stuff done. If you're thinking right now, let's say you've been here for a couple months, okay, and you're still thinking, I want to get my first product going. How about the first 10? Raise your standards a little bit. Now that first one doesn't look so big. And it could be a big hit, right? I mean, it could be that, not be that. Well, that's a 50-50 chance. So you get just as much likelihood of having a big hit as you do and having not a big hit. Although actually it's more likely that you will have a big hit, because guess what? You're educated. You didn't just show up and you fell off the turnip truck yesterday and you don't know what planet you're on. No, you've been studying this stuff. Right? Unfair advantage. Unfair. Good. Let's do that. The point is to take action on it and make corrections as you go. And I think that will serve you very nicely moving forward. And I'd love to hear you guys, your thoughts and your feedback on that. If you'd like to unmute your microphones, I see we've got 206 people joining us live right now, not to mention all of our friends. I am mentioning them, all of our friends on YouTube. Welcome, you guys. Glad you're here. Let's have a little bit of feedback on this today, and then let's get some work done today. I'm excited. Of course, tomorrow's our Fun Friday event. So Carol Ann has the floor. Hi, Carol Ann.
Oh, thank you. You're saying like get it done, and it's better done than not done, or done whatever. I spent the last week and the week trying to get through passwords. I got my brain, I've got email. I'm trying to get my email address up, my passwords, and then this and the banking and everything. Passwords are driving me insane. Then I know I have this thing on my computer where it will keep all the passwords, but then I keep losing that and then I can't find that. And oh my God.
Really? Okay. So here's what you do. Anytime you go to any website that asks you to create a password, create the password. And are you on a Mac or a PC?
I'm on a PC.
You're on a PC. So there's a application called Notepad on your PC. Okay. So grab Notepad. All it is a plain text document creator. That's it. Okay. You title the document passwords. And any password you create, you go ahead and copy and paste the website where you created the password. So here's Amazon.com, whatever that website is. So copy that to the document. Here's my credentials. I used this email address. Copy that to the document. Here's the password that I just created. Put that on the document as well. Hit enter to create a blank space. And now you've got that document. You know how many passwords I've got on my account passwords document? Hundreds and hundreds. I never know what the password is. If I actually need to be asked for a password, I just go to my passwords document, Control F on a PC or Command F on a Mac. By the way, if you're on a Mac, TextEdit is the software. It's all part of the operating system. So Notepad on a PC, TextEdit on a Mac. Okay. So this way you're not fiddling around with third-party software that's locked into your hard drive. It's all secure, right? As long as you can log into your own machine, you're good to go. Okay. Okay.
It might be a better idea to put it on Google Docs.
I'm telling you what I do, and it's not Google. It ain't Google. They're not getting my data.
I'm just saying that because if something happens to your computer, you lose everything.
Okay. So I'm going to give you the rest of the story on that too. But thank you, Lisa. It's good to have something on a cloud or in another location. It's called a backup. Right. Okay. But I'm saying my most precious passwords are on a plain text document, TextEdit on a Mac, Notepad on a PC. I open up that document. There's lines and lines and lines and lines. I don't know how long that document goes. All I do is on a Mac, it's Command F. On a PC, it's Control F. That's the Finder. Control F, type whatever you want. Zoom. What are my Zoom credentials? Bam. There's all the Zoom credentials for all the Zoom accounts I've got.
Yeah, because I would get passwords and then I'd lose my password. So I'd have to come up with another password and then I put in a password and.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Can I say
So
something?
these are unnecessary stops. Okay. So as long as you know what your passwords are, and I would suggest doing something like that, which is super linear and super simple.
Yeah.
It's your data. You own your data. And then, yes, like Lisa was saying, have a backup somewhere. I don't trust Google personally. Okay. I don't trust
Can
Google.
I say something here? I don't know if you can hear me. This is
Yeah.
Kitty.
Hi, Kate.
Once you have that document or you have that thing all set in your text edit or your notepad, print it out so you have a hard copy. I'm 63. I'm old school. I like to be able to find stuff. I have notebooks that I put all of that stuff in so that I have a hard copy because I don't trust that things aren't going to get hacked into. At least then I've got the information in a hard copy. And if I have to go back and change things because I got hacked somewhere along the line, I can do that. I have the information.
Yeah, and
Either
I
hacked or
agree.
lost.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Me too.
I probably wouldn't name it passwords either, just in case you do get hacked. Name it like your first dog's resume or something like Hunter's resume. Something that you'll remember yourself, but no one else will figure out that it's your passwords.
Hello.
Right. Okay. Good tips. So we got to have an extra layer of security. We got a code word
Yeah.
called
good,
the
thanks. How are
dog.
you?
Lisa, I'm going to go ahead and mute Lisa's on the phone.
This is not my password.
But yeah, there's look, just keep it simple with that, Carol Ann. So whatever works for you.
Okay,
And
that's
if you
great.
want to print it out, like Wendy was just talking about, I think it was Wendy or Elaine, then you'll have a hard copy as well, which should be in your Firebox, right? So Century Safe makes a, file safe, right? Heat resistant, $100, whatever it is. You got your most precious documents in there. I got my daughter's birth certificate. I got my passports, right? Money, right?
Wow.
Okay, good. Thank you, guys. All right, problem solved. Done.
Yeah.
Who else wants to talk today?
I would like to say something.
Hi.
Hi. So this has been I know that I'm not the only one feeling like this, but I have been on an emotional roller coaster. I'll get going and then I freeze. And then I even had a breakdown and emailed my coach and was like, oh my God. I mean, and I've done a lot. I've read the books over and over. I have set up my bank account. I set up my email. I set up my LLC. I am moving. I even got 2 products that they said would be great. And then all of a sudden I went to get quotes and stuff and I froze. So I was and then after I sent this email I'm sure she responded, she was so sweet. She responded and was laughing at me, which made me laugh at myself because I saw how panicked I was for no reason. And then I just sat back down at my computer and I came up with 5 other new products that and I did exactly what you said. I just was you know what? These are all things that excite me and I'm just going to go for it. I'm serious. I feel like I'll get some really good traction and then it's yourself that gets in the way. So you just have to just keep moving. Even if it's just one little thing at a day, because I work full time during the day and then I devote my 4 o'clock in the afternoon till probably 1 in the morning, every morning doing product research and, getting quotes and stuff like that. So you just have to keep moving. Just wanted to say that it's normal and it's okay to laugh at yourself. That's what's helped me. Anyway.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you. Great perspective. And I know you've got big goals and you've got big intention on this. Nobody signed up here to be comfortable, right? So yeah, here we go. Game on. And you're so able. I don't believe you are. I know you are. You're so able, Patricia. So glad you're here. All right. My pleasure. Did Sylvia, I think Sylvia was attempting to say something. Sylvia, are you with us?
Not this Sylvia.
Okay. I was looking at you. Okay. Very good. I just wanted to make sure you got the floor if that's what you were looking for. Kelly or who's next?
Yes.
Hey,
Jeff?
Kelly.
Hi. Yeah, I wanted to say you mentioned the word mediocrity earlier, and it was really a word that's been going around my head for the past few days. Something that I'm kind of struggling with a little bit, in that I have a lot of support from everyone, and people always believe in me and that kind of thing. But I feel like I've always been very, like I was good at school, B's and C's, but never really A's, a good job, but never like an amazing salary, or, fine. And what I'm struggling with is, how can I break that pattern of a lifetime? I've always been like that, like how I just not quite sure how to push myself into, because that's my history, into thinking, right, this is the time when I really can be the A student, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I just don't know how to break that pattern and make that shift.
Oh, well, you came to the right place. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So here's the thing. There's a couple of things that will knock people out of mediocrity, okay, in terms of their own performance or expectations of their performance. And it has to do with, if there's just one blanket concept, it would be raising one's necessity level. So think of it like this. On one hand, you've got hope for gain, and on the other hand, you've got fear of loss. In between, you've got various degrees of stasis, like I'm comfortable, right? And you're surviving, you're comfortable. Look at you, right? You got internet access, you're breathing air, you got water, food, gravity, you got a roof. I mean, it's nice, right? You're doing the whole earth thing. Okay, well, if you're satisfied with that, that's complacency, right? That's mediocrity. But if you've got a burning desire, okay, unremitting desire and definiteness of purpose, that I am going there, I am so excited about that, I will not be denied. No, I am going there. Okay. And you become that person who would have that, right? Emotionally, physiologically, spiritually, you become that person. You start behaving as that person. You'll start to have what that person has, as be, do, and have in that order. So for you to so-called overcome mediocrity, you actually become something more than the person who was comfortable in the position you're in now. So that is a great thing to do. And you can make vision boards, you can meditate on this, you can visualize where you're going. Very important stuff. Now, on the other side, let's say someone stays comfortable long enough that their necessity level raises, not by their choice, but out of desperation or emergency, right? Well, now again, we're motivated to act in a much higher degree than we were when we were comfortable. Negative example would be burning house, right? You're tired, you're comfortable, you're in bed, and then all of a sudden, you hear fire engines and smoke. You smell the smoke. Suddenly, you're not that comfortable anymore, right? You've got all the energy in the world to get stuff done. What happened? Heightened necessity level. So on one side, we've got a very pleasing thing that we're moving toward. On the other side, we've got something very unpleasing that we're moving away from. Either one is a motivator. Either one will get you out of stasis. Hopefully, you spend more time going towards what you want and not just away from what you don't want. Okay, but we stay comfortable long enough. Those things that we don't want get closer and closer. Nothing rests. We're either growing or disintegrating, right? So you got to choose, and you can be proactive about that. In fact, there's a tremendous book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey, the late Stephen Covey. First habit is effective people are proactive, which implies that that you're causing your life to happen. That's proactivity. That's proactive thinking. All right. I'm so glad you brought that up, Kelly. It's a big topic, and maybe we could take it up more tomorrow as well. But I hope does that give you some ideas on some directions you could?
Yeah, no, it's good, because I think I have had that thing that's happened to me in my life, which has just given me that push now. So maybe that's what it took, but that's fine, because it's giving me this fire drive. So thank you.
You're quite welcome. So let's acknowledge that you're not struggling with mediocrity anymore. I mean, that's something you said, that was what, 3 minutes ago? You said you were struggling. Well, great. That's in the past now. Let's acknowledge, ladies and gentlemen, meet Kelly, the new Kelly. Welcome, Kelly. All right, let's get it done.
Thank you.
You're awesome. You remember that movie, The Lion King, the cartoon, The Lion King, where Simba's there and he's bemoaning his failures, right? And Rafiki, the monkey, hits him with the stick, right? And he says, that's the past. Stop focusing on the past. And he keeps talking about stuff, and Rafiki goes to hit him with the stick, and he moves. And he says, oh, we can learn from the past, right? So that's a new unit of time, right? There's a different Simba than it was 30 seconds ago when he got hit. So anyway, Rafiki was the wise monkey guy. I know every children's movie known to man. My daughter's 9 right now. I've got like Terminator and all kinds of action movies. And I've got in my library, I've got, science fiction and stuff. Here's The Matrix. And then I've got children and family movies. The library, the catalog is immense. Like, where do we get all these movies? There's got to be $2,000 that my wife spent on iTunes just buying kids movies. So anyway, there's that. What does that have to do with our topic? Nothing. Anybody else who would like to talk?
Me right here.
Yes. Hey, Laura.
Okay, so just really quick, I'm at a point in this journey where it's either I don't know if I'm being inert by trying to understand, because I find it hard for me as a person to move forward with something until I completely understand it. Or is that the type of like movement or is it actually movement, the fact that I want to understand it? Because I find myself looking through like units and episodes of like all this material over and over again, because once I like watch it once, I go to put it into practice, and it doesn't give me the result. I'm lost. So I go and I look at it again and just trying to really grasp this, because this is really new to me, like the whole marketing and all that, understanding keywords and stuff. So I guess that's where I'm at right now, just trying to really understand, because I don't feel comfortable like moving forward without understanding. So is that, I don't know if that's some sort of inertia too.
No, it sounds like confusion. So my suggestion then, and there's three main tips that I gave you when you first got started, Laura, and I give them to everyone. Make sure you understand the words. The number one thing that stops people from being able to apply the education to any effect is misunderstood words. Okay, so you missed a word somewhere in there. So let's go through the training again. Don't assume any meanings. Okay, so now that you know what to do, because you understand the words, now we apply it. That's the second tip, is we commingle theory with practical application. Now you're touching the machine. I could talk to you all day about Zoom and the concept known as Zoom teleconferencing, but until you touch Zoom and set up your mic and do all this stuff, it's just theory, right? So you want to touch the machine. The third thing is consistency, right? So, and that means forgiving yourself for not being at the top of the mountain already, because you're not. You're just starting up the mountain, okay? But the point is to be consistent with that. And then the technology becomes transparent. You don't even have to think about it anymore, just like driving the car, right? You don't even think about it. So those three things: make sure you understand the words, commingle theory with practical, and go at a proper, consistent gradient.
Yes, sir. Got it. Thank you.
You are so welcome.
Okay.
All right. Look at that smile. That's the result. That's my product right there. Laura's smiling. That's our product from today's call. All right. Guys, go ahead, Joe. Let's see. We got Jackie.
I just wanted to add to that. I was on a meeting last night with Christine for product assessment. And she was saying too, we just have to remember to take the steps, take it step by step. Don't worry if someone's ahead of us, because people learn at different rates, different speeds, in different ways. So you have to find what's comfortable for you and to learn the basics. And if you don't get the basics, as he said before, we're going to be lost. And if you don't get the ABCs, you can't get to XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
And or put words together if you don't know the letters first. So she just kept trying to tell us, even though some of us are ahead of others, you got to get the basics, whatever it is. I mean, I was sitting there last night, like overwhelmed, like you wouldn't believe, because they're talking about things. I'm going, what? And I've been here for a while. But it was new, because it was confusing, because they were just bombarding me with all kinds of new things. So I have to go back and go over the things again, the basics of what to do, and not get overwhelmed about what I don't know yet, because I will learn it, what I don't know. And I think everybody just has to kind of remember that's what we're all here for. We're learning, And if we already know it, we wouldn't be here.
That's right.
So I hope that helps.
You're always helpful. Thank you, Jackie. And
you,
thank you
Don.
everyone who's been helpful today. I want to thank Lisa and Laura and Kelly and I see John Mudd has his hand. Hey, John, what's going on, John?
Just a reaction to Laura's issue. Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, just an old sales adage, the 6 Ps. Perfect planning presents poor performance. There's another word in there which I'll leave out because there are ladies present. But don't be too alarmed that you're hesitant. As long as you're improving your planning to go forward. Yeah, because perfect planning will make it happen. It may not be hesitation. It may be you're trying to build your passage so that everything's right. So perfect planning prevents poor performance. Remember that.
There you go. Mr. John Mudd. Mr. John Mudd, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, and can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Well, I'm looking on Amazon for goods and I'm looking at their prices. Because I'm not registered as a seller yet, but because I'm registered as a buyer, as a UK participant, if you like, they won't tell me the prices. They'll say, we don't have a supplier who ships to your location. So how do I overcome that?
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Earlier, I was wondering that, but if you watch Sophie's video, she always puts 90210 in the, instead of having your name and your delivery address in the top left-hand corner. You go into there, and if you go into there and just put 90210, like in the old television program,
Yeah.
it actually gives you all the prices.
Create another address that's in the
brilliant.
States
That's
somewhere.
good.
He's
Big
just saying
time.
to use a zip code, United States zip code,
Yeah.
and you'll get United
Yeah.
States.
Because
I
I'm in
actually
Canada
use-
and I use an American
Yeah.
address when I want
do
to
too.
do any sort of research on Amazon. So that's regardless of what country you're from. Otherwise, you'll get exactly the same problem that was outlined here. I get
What's-
that all the time if I use my Canadian address, but as soon as I flip it to an American zip code, everything comes up. And helium-10 works better with an American address.
I'll have to
Okay.
try that. What's the name of that big house on Pennsylvania Avenue, John?
Yeah, you can use any address. Just don't send anything.
I actually use Detroit mailbox address. It's a company where you can have things shipped to their address and then go pick it up there. And so if you
Alright.
just look up online, DetroitMailbox.com, all one
Good.
word, all lowercase, and you just use their address. You just set up an account with them. It doesn't cost anything to set up an account. And you can just use that address. And that's
for
what I
that.
do. I
Use,
put that in Amazon.
You could
Thanks for that.
possibly use the UPS store too, because they have, I know I'm in Canada, so I have things shipped to Ogdensburg just across to the States, and they would have a US address and whatnot as well. So that might work too. If Detroit mailbox doesn't work for you, try UPS.
I think UPS uses a PO box though, don't they?
They can do it either way.
Yeah, okay,
what
because there are a
Wendy's
lot
saying,
of places that won't ship to a PO box.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll receive normal mail and shipping and everything else. So
Right.
very good. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Lisa.
If
Thank
I
you,
can-
John.
Thank
If
you.
I can just say, I've been using, I'm in the UK, I've just been using a Florida zip code 33401. That's 33401. And that's served me well for about a week and a half. So if anyone's actually living in 33401, sorry, but that's been working well for me. So it's just a
So
just a random
US
one.
zip codes are just numbers, are they?
Five
Yeah, it's
numbers.
just five digits, but 33401 is just a random one I selected, and that's been serving me well.
Good, thank you.
Where does our product actually go? Does it go to Washington?
What?
Well, when we order product to have it sent to Amazon to be,
Oh,
where,
yeah,
what
it goes to the FBA warehouse.
And
So,
where is
yeah,
that?
these are all logistical questions that are covered in your course.
Well, the reason I'm asking this is just, wouldn't it be better to use the zip code of that location to get an accurate estimate? Because there's a big difference between sending to Florida or Washington State.
You know, there's warehouses in multiple places though.
So, well, okay, if it's covered in the course, that's fine. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Mhm.
It was just for an estimate. I thought if there was a more accurate way of knowing where the items will land, then you'd get a better accuracy of your shipping.
I would want to see the higher price. So like middle of nowhere, Kansas or something.
Okay.
I would think, right?
You
So,
know,
so show
you
me worst
find
case
out-
scenarios. Amy?
You find out, you find out once you actually go into your listing and do almost like go in the shipping, you've got to be a bit further down the road, and then Amazon will tell you where you should send it to the warehouse. So you really need to kind of find your product first, get your listing to get an accurate shipping cost. So it is covered, but you can't guess that at this stage. Sorry if that's helpful.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Julia. And thank you. I couldn't see who was talking just then. Thank you for that. So we've got, so I think Susie wanted to say something.
Oh, yeah, way back when, I think it was Kelly who was having reservations about her ability to shine when she's had a history of, mediocrity. It's possible she hasn't found her true calling. And, I wasn't a star student, and I decided, way back when my dad said, I mean, he was kind of a negative person. He said, you're not going to amount to anything as other than a secretary or something. And I guess something inside me is always pushing to get better. And because of that nagging, terrible little comment he made, I pushed myself. I decided to go online, and I got my master's degree, and it was more to push myself. But I thought, I can't believe I have the self-discipline to do something online. I never thought I had this in me to do. And I guess because of that spark and seeing, wow, this late in life, I see what I'm capable of. I keep wanting more of a challenge, and that's part of why I've joined this network. I'm thinking, I'm going to keep pushing, and I'm not going to let anything get in my way, because I've already had success where I never thought I did. And that's all I wanted to let her know about.
Awesome. Thank you, Susie. And you have amounted to something. Here you are, right? So, so glad you're here. This is great, guys. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. I do see Darren's hand is raised. Darren?
Yeah, just a quick one to say that following your advice the other day, I have now registered my name.com, thinking about greatness. So thanks for that tip.
Oh, well, good. That I just saved you tens of thousands of dollars. Once you're rich and famous, you don't have to go buy your own name from some mysterious person who registered it on your behalf. That's great.
And he'll take 10%.
There you go. Yeah, we'll pass the collection basket tomorrow. All right, guys, I got to run. Thank you for being here with us. What a beautiful community of people. And tomorrow, Fun Friday, somebody bring a joke, please, so we can have a laugh. I'll see you all then. In the meantime, make it a great day. Bye for now.
Bye, John.
Bye, John.